Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's we'll be comparing Ford's 2.7 liter V6 to Chevy's 2.7 liter 4-cylinder to see who makes a better 2.7 liter engine and to see if you really need the extra couple cylinders that are under the hood of the Ford. Before we get in this video, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to the Jerry Steiner Chevy here in Salt Lake and to the Larry Miller Super Ford here in Salt Lake for giving me some time with both of the trucks. I'll include a link to both of their websites in the description down below. If you happen to be looking for a Chevy, just ask for Jeffrey. And if you happen to be looking for a Ford, just ask for Jaden. And then I'll also include a link to my car buying guide. Let's get right into it. So under the hood of the Ford is a turbocharged 2.7 liter V6 that goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 18 around town and then 23 on the highway, with power outputs being 325 horsepower and then 400 pound-feet of torque. Now powering the Chevy is a turbocharged 2.7 liter 4-cylinder that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 18 around town and then 21 on the highway, with power outputs being 310 horsepower and then 430 pound-feet of torque. Before we move forward with this comparison, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. Now, I did a pretty good job with picking out trucks that are comparable, so the specs should be pretty solid for this video. And the first spec I want to show is payload with both of the trucks. So we're going to show the Fords first here. You can see we've got 1,622 pounds of payload with this 2.7 V6. This is an STX, so it's basically just a dressed up work truck, so it looks a little bit fancier than a regular work truck, like a regular XL. And then let's check out the payload on the Chevy. So it is 1,800, I don't know if the camera's gonna show that very well, 1,815 pounds. So there's a little bit more payload with the Chevy than the Ford. And the Chevy, if you're wondering, is a custom. So again, basically dressed up work trucks. So both of these pretty similar specs, and I did get the bed lengths correct this time, I'm pretty sure. So you can see standard bed on the Ford and standard bed on the Silverado. And now this leads us to towing capacity. With the Chevy, you're right around 9,000 pounds for the max towing capacity. With the Ford, you're right around 10,000 pounds, so the Ford does tow a little bit more than the Chevy. And then when it comes to cost, this STX, after all options, stickers for $52,575. The 2.7, just it's no cost option, so it doesn't add into the MSRP. The Chevy, on the other hand, also stickers for $52,275, so pretty much the same price. The 2.7 plus the custom blackout package gives you a $1,600 credit, so Chevy technically pays you to take the 2.7. Now, with all that being said, let's take them out, drive them, and see how they perform differently from each other. Or the same, who knows? Well, let's talk about visibility here on the Chevy. There's over the hood, both the mirrors. Through the rest of the rear. Even though this is an engine comparison, still going to compare visibility. Now I am going to get some climate action going on in here. Wrong one, because it's toasty today. It is extra toasty today. There we go. Reset the fuel economy with the trip computer. We'll get a fuel reading with both of the trucks over not a super long drive, but hey, it's better than nothing, right? It's better than nothing when it comes to comparing these engines. Again, the Ford should get better fuel economy because on paper it's a little bit more economical than the Chevy here, which does beg a very important question. Why go for fewer cylinders if your fuel economy is going to be worse? And we'll talk about emissions, I guess, at the end. We'll talk about emissions at the end. So, first off, smooth feeling. Seats in the Chevy are pretty firm, but they're not uncomfortable. That's where I'd put it. too bad. Good torque. That'll be interesting to see the acceleration field with both of them too, because this has more torque, but the Ford has more horsepower. 325 versus 310, and then 400 versus 430 here. I mean, for a turbo 4-cylinder in a full-size pickup truck, it ain't too bad when it comes to the acceleration. Yeah, not bad at all. 10 miles per gallon so far. I will say the sound is not all that inspiring, but yeah, it's kind of what you'd expect out of a 4-cylinder. So I'll get up here, get an acceleration, and then another acceleration, and then we'll kind of get our final fuel economy reading and sum things up with the 4-cylinder in the Chevy. And get another acceleration here with the Turbo 4. Not bad, not bad. Again, interesting to compare this to the Ford. And what we'll do, I'm dropping the Ford back off at the Ford store, who would have thought. What we'll do is, as soon as I get to the driveway of the Ford store, then we'll do the fuel economy readings for both of them. But yeah, with this Chevy, I think that it drives well. Good torque. Again, it's not the best sounding engine, but it's impressive for a 4-cylinder. I think that's the big takeaway with the Chevy is, yeah, again, you've only got 4 cylinders under the hood and you're like, man, this is impressive despite the lack of cylinders. So here's their first driveway, and 13.5, 13.6. We'll do about 13.6. So 13.6 is what our reading will be for the Chevy. We'll see what the Ford is over the short drive and see if it's any more economical. Let's talk about visibility in the Ford. So the hood, both the mirrors, front, the rear. We'll say the seats are a little bit more comfortable. Now, there we go. Trip fuel, trip 1, reset. Okay, there we go. So we will compare and see if the Ford is more or less or the same when it comes to economy. 2.7 versus 2.7. Man, full-size pickup trucks, not the greatest when it comes to turning radius. But you know, there you go. There you go. So let's pop through here. A little bit more car-like. It's the thing that I always say about the F-150s compared to the Silverados, is the F-150s drive just a little bit more car-like. And just the other trucks in general. I love how Ford gives a fuel economy reading way sooner than Chevy. Ford's like, boom, here's your fuel economy. Chevy's like, let's do a little bit of driving and then I'll decide what you're getting when it comes to economy. I will say with these two like basic packages, the Ford, because I think maybe it's because it's got the big screens, feels a little bit more premium compared to the Chevy. It's interesting to see where automakers do well and not so well in within the same vehicle. Like, for example, I think that Chevy's ZR2, which is similarly priced now to the Ford Tremors, I think it's a much cooler truck. So it's like, it seems like Chevy does a better job there, but then Ford does a better job here. It's just interesting where the automakers decide to attack things. Good torque right off the bat. I mean, here's the deal: is everyone always says there's no replacement for displacement, but there's also no replacement for cylinders. When you have more cylinders, it always feels like there's more grunt, even if the displacement's the same. It's just how engines work, and I think this is a great example of that, because both 2.7 liters in displacement, but V6 versus 4-cylinder. And this has less torque on paper, so this shouldn't feel as punchy, but it feels like it's got a little bit more grunt than the Chevy's 2.7 liter right off the bat. Oh no! That train kind of messed everything up because, yeah, not blaming the person for doing their job, by the way, just can't do the same route. I mean, those trains, they're super long and they go super slow so that they don't use up a lot of fuel. Just how that industry works. So this is going to be probably the worst fuel economy comparison. What I'm going to do, it's stupid, but if I go down the end here and then back again, that should be somewhat of a similar distance. I'm gonna punch it a couple times. I'll try to make it as even as possible. Not gonna be the best, but it'll give us a general idea, right, with the fuel economy of both of the trucks. So sorry about that, but you know, it happens. I feel like it's been my luck today. It's not like the worst day on the planet, but I feel like I've had bad luck with these reviews so far. Okay, so let's punch it here. Yeah, it just feels better. It just feels like it's got more grunt to it. I don't know, I like it. So I'll go down, loop back, and then, yeah, we'll get our final reading. Won't be the best test, but it's better than nothing. We are entering the Ford lot. We will get over on this side where we pass the Chevy. Again, not the best test, but we'll just see what it says reading wise. So popping in here, basically the same. 13.8. 13.8. So again, as they say in the window stickers, they're probably both going to get about the same fuel economy. The Ford's going to be a little bit better, mostly on the highway. The power delivery feels better. So let me know if you'd go 2.7 V6 or 2.7. The 4-cylinder, I kind of lean more towards the V6. Again, no replacement for displacement, and no replacement for cylinders. And I don't know, I'd rather get a little bit better fuel economy and have 2 more cylinders. I like the sound of that more.